So, here we will study today the explanation of this first brilliant verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the seed of the entire Bhagavad Purana. And let me share with you what are going to be the themes. So, the idea is that we should study the purports, the verses with the idea of coming up with concepts. Remember, I said we will have a conceptual study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, what are the concepts that are presented or highlighted in the first verse? Let me share the screen with you. And this is going to be the subject matter of today's discussion, which is covering all the themes of the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Can you all see? So, in this verse, Srila Vyasadeva is establishing Sri Krishna as the Satyam Param, absolute truth. If you remember, we discussed in the introduction, there's a difference between using the words absolute truth and God. God usually has the connotation of a creator, but Param Satyam means absolute truth. Absolute truth has the connotation not just of the creator, but also as the cause of all causes, the cause of everything. So, who is that cause of everything? Sri Krishna. And that Srimad Bhagavatam will establish. So, what are we going to see in this first verse in today's discussion? That Sri Krishna is the conscious, Abhigya, Swarad, independent, all knowing, absolute truth, and the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the material and the efficient cause, the Upadan Karan and the Nimitta Karan. And because he is all of this, therefore he is worthy of our worship. He is the supreme object of meditation. Yeah. How will you decide what should I meditate on? Your object should have all those qualities. If I give you an object which has greater qualities than the previous object, then that becomes absolute truth. So, because Sri Krishna is Param Satyam, therefore he is also the object of our meditation. Acharyas don't stop here. They go on to present Krishna as the source of all rasa, especially Madhurya Ras. Raso Vai Saha. He is rasa. He is rasa himself. Then this verse will also establish that Radha and Krishna are the highest revelation of divine sweetness. Yes, absolute truth is Vasudev. But is that the highest form of divine sweetness? That is found in Radha Krishna. And finally, we will see bhakti itself is the independent spiritual process to realize this Satyam. So, what are you going to study in the first verse? These are the topics. So, we don't need to worry about, this is complicated, this is very simple. Just these six concepts. Okay. So, let's start. And you have to be fully plugged in. So, what is this verse saying? In this purport, we will read. Srila Prabhupada says it is natural to be curious about the universe. We look up at the stars and question, who is the creator? So, everyone intuitively has has this inquiry in their minds. Who is the creator? What is reality? Who am I? What is my purpose? So, Srimad Bhagavatam is going to present a Gaudiya Vaishnav or Gaudiya Vedantic understanding that ultimate reality is not impersonal, it is not inert, it is not abstract consciousness like Jnanis say, Satyam Jnanam Brahman. Yes, that is one aspect, but that is not the full understanding of absolute truth. So then, what is the ultimate reality? Ultimate reality is Swarad, Abhigya, fully independent Supreme Person, Sri Krishna. And we'll also see how the cosmos depends on him. Knowledge descends from him, and Maya is also overcome by his own internal potency. So, this is our inquiry into the metaphysical questions of life, this is when it is fully answered.
तिला फोन लाव आणि सांग माझं क्लास चालू आहे.
So it is fully answered. You remember we saw that the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam also addresses the second verse of Vedanta Sutra, Jan Adhato Brahma Jigyasa. So what starts as inquiry completes in meditation. The success of inquiry is you come to meditation. So what is being said here is the absolute truth is not just philosophy, it is also to be meditated upon. And the last part of this verse is going to highlight how this absolute truth ultimately what it culminates in is rasa, rasa or prema. So let's start with the first part, which is Janmadi Asya Yata. Okay, let's focus on this one thing. Forget everything else. That from whom arise creation, maintenance, and dissolution. Yeah, not difficult to understand. So, what is this answering? Vyasdev is answering all of our heart's query to the question, what is the source of everything? Yeah. So, it is a person, it is Krishna, Vasudev, the Satyam Param. So if somebody says, why is Krishna addressed as Janmadhyaya Sayaka? To present Krishna as the source of everything. What question is being answered or what argument is being addressed by every verse that we should know. Otherwise, every verse will appear, repetitive and boring. But if you know what is it trying to answer, then you will be able to join the dots, and that is the purpose of this study. So, Janmadi Asya Yata is answering the question, what is the source of everything? And the answer is that it is a person, Krishna or Vasudeva. So, Prabhupada is emphasizing in his purport that if you see the starting, that here, when we are invoking Vasudev, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, we are directly addressing Sri Krishna. He is the original personality of God. And all other forms are his expansions or portions of plenary portions. Don't worry about these words. We will see them in chapter 3. Avtaras, Kala, Amsha. So this is for chapter 3. And here Srila Prabhupada gives reference from various scriptures. Krishna Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, Brahma Samhita written by Brahmaji himself, Samaved, Bhagavad Gita, Padma Puran. In all of these scriptures, what is being said repeatedly is that Krishna is the principal God. So Prabhupada says if you have to use the term absolute truth, that is suitable or appropriate only to be ascribed to Sri Krishna or Vasudeva. Sri Krishna is the cause of all causes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls Bhagavatam as the Amala Puran. Mala means contamination or adulteration. Amala means where there is no contamination. It's a spotless Puran. Why? Because it directly addresses the transcendental subject matter. It doesn't go into dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The religiosity of this world is not a topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. It directly addresses Krishna, his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. So we discussed that Vyasdev was dissatisfied after he arranged all the Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharata, and Vedanta Sutra. And then he was feeling despondent. He was not feeling satisfied. And Narad Muni came and corrected him as his guru. That you have only encouraged the fruitive impetus of humanity. People by nature are prone to perform results for enjoyment, work for enjoyment. And through all these scriptures, you have highlighted that. Instead, you should highlight bhakti and you should do it repeatedly and present bhakti as the supreme. So Bhagavatam is fully devotionally charged from the start. Why? Because Vyasdev wrote it in his maturation. When he reached maturity of his realization, then he compiled or composed Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, Bhagavatam is called as a natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And as we saw, Bhagavatam itself is another form of Krishna. Krishna is coming to us in the form of Bhagavatam to give us light in this dark age of Kali Yuga. And we will see how Acharyas present when Bhagavatam is compared to a lamp, to the sun, to the fruit of the Vedic tree, and to Mohini Murti. Mohini Murti is that avatar of Lord Vishnu, where he takes this form of a beautiful woman to in the Samudra Manthan Leela to bewilder the Danavas. So first aspect is the introduction. Janmadi Asya Yada is addressing the question, what is the source of everything? And it is Sri Krishna. Now, second concept being presented in this verse is Sri Krishna or the Satyam Param as the Sarva Karana Karanam. So that is called as causality. Cause. Simple. It is coming from the word cause and it's called causality. Now the question is, what is the cause of this universe? So Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasdeva is presenting that the universe has a conscious source, abhigya. The creator is abhigya. The creator is not mechanical. Yeah, it is not a principle. Sri Krishna is the origin of all creations, and he is also their maintainer and destroyer. So, point is that this universe is not self-sufficient. It is created, sustained, and withdrawn by divine will. So it has a cause. And we saw Janmadi Asyayata is also referring to two verses of Vedanta Sutra, which is same Janmadi Asyayata and Tattu Samanvayat. So what is it trying to say? That Lord is not just a designer who is, outside the system. He is both the Upadan Karan, the material cause, and the Nimitta Karan, the efficient cause. Like for a pot, the Upadan Karan, the material cause is clay or mud. And the Nimitta Karan is the potter who has the skill to create a pot. So when there is a pot, is the clay inherent in the pot? Yes. And when it's just clay, is the pot potentially present in the clay? Yes. So this we discussed last time in detail. How we cannot say that Krishna is only the Nimitta Karan, he is also the Upadan Karan. But then the question is, oh, if he is the Upadan Karan and he is providing the ingredients for creation, creation is always changing. That is the meaning of the word Jagat. Jagat means ever expanding, ever changing. So if he is in touch with Prakriti and Prakriti is always changing, that means he would also change. But we understand that God doesn't change. So how did we explain that? He is the material cause through his energy. This the creation, the ingredients are his energy. We saw Krishna has two energies, external and internal. So external energy is in the form of this creation. So he is the material cause through his energy. That is how we resolve that contradiction. So Lord is the foundation. Yeah. And then he is also the creator, and he also is the destroyer. So you will be amazed to know that in many other systems of religion, God is presented only as the efficient cause. Yeah, just as a designer. And there is this argument called the intelligent design argument. that there was an intelligent designer who organizes pre-existing material. You remember we discussed this concept of creation ex nihilo. Otherwise, somebody might put this argument, oh, for creation to happen, the elements were not there. So, with what did God create? And how did God come into existence? So, that is the quality of God, that He exists, He predates creation itself, not just as a designer, but also as the ingredient, the upadan karan. So, what is Bhagavatam telling us? Matter is not independent. Prakriti is a Shakti of the Lord. And because Shakti and Shaktiman are not different, the Lord can be called as the material cause through his energy. And yet he doesn't change. Why? Because by his nature, by his Swarupa, he is beyond Prakriti. He is the master of Prakriti. Are you with me? Everyone clear so far? Just follow the main idea. Don't worry about it. It's not complicated. Krishna is both the material and efficient cause. He's the material cause through his energy, so that he provides ingredients for creation, yet he is not changed by creation. Why? Because his nature is transcendental. His nature is to be a master of Prakriti. So, what is happening when we present Sri Krishna as both the material and the efficient cause? So, this is like avoiding two extremes. Many religions or schools of philosophy present what is called deism, Deism. What do they say? That yes, God created this universe. He also made certain laws, but he's not involved. He's aloof. He's doing his own thing. He's just arranging external matter. That is deism. So everyone says there is a creator, but what shade of creator are we talking about? So, by presenting a concept that Krishna is both the material cause and the efficient cause, we are saying we are not following the deistic philosophy. The creator is very much involved with his creation. Yeah. So, on one extreme, it avoids deism, and on the other extreme, it avoids pantheism. What is pantheism? That you say the universe itself is God. That there is nothing beyond this universe, and God and universe are the same thing. We are saying no. Beyond this universe, God exists in his original Swarupa, in his spiritual abode. So every phrase of this verse has great significance. One change, and we will land into a different school of philosophy, different school of thought. You're able to appreciate that? So, not deism, not pantheism, but Krishna as both the Upadan Karan and the Nimitta Karan. So, this is the idea of causality. How is Krishna the cause of all causes? Any questions on this? So Prabhupada says, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Okay. So the next theme that we are going to discuss is Krishna's. How is Krishna Abhigya and Swaraj? Abhigya means fully conscious. Because if you are not conscious of the ingredients of creation, how can you create? So only somebody who's fully conscious of everything can actually do the process of creation. So abhigya also translates to the word abhigya means fully conscious, means all knowing. What is the word for that? Omniscience. Yeah. Generally, in Christianity, God is defined with the attributes of omniscient, omnipotent, and omnibenevolent. Omniscient is avijja, omnipotent is all powerful, and universe, the absolute truth, personality of Godhead is the chief amongst all living personalities. So everyone is a living being. We are all individual living beings. Similarly, the personality of Godhead is also a living being. He is an individual. And what kind of individual? That individual who possesses the greatest intelligence. And he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. So if a man's brain can produce a satellite, why can't we think that there is a super brain all intelligent, omniscient, independent individual who is Ishvara, Parameshwara. We are not Parameshwara. So it's, if you logically think, it's not difficult to accept this idea of a controller creator. Who is behind this? Is there a conscious design or this world is random? Very difficult to accept that everything is working to clockwork precision and is so beautiful and it can be random. So there is, if you like to study further, there is something called as a fine-tuning argument. So everything is so fine-tuned in this creation that, the universal constants, like in physics, we have the gravitational constant. Then there is intermolecular attraction constant. So why is gravity 9.8 meter per second square or other constants? So scientists say that if these constants were even a fraction, 0.0000001% also greater or lesser, this world would collapse. So how are these most important constants fine-tuned for life? So that cannot be random. If one variable was there, we could have considered it random. But so many variables, all perfectly aligned, all finely tuned, very clearly indicate towards a creator, a supreme intelligence. So Vyasdev is not going towards atheistic ideas of randomness. He's saying, no, there is a supreme intelligence, and I offer obeisances to that supreme intelligence, Parameshwara. Okay. So not even Brahmaji is fully independent. And Brahmaji is also not fully cognizant or abhigya. All of us, from Brahmaji to the smallest ant, all of us are dependent. So Swarat is the quality which distinguishes Param Satya from all other jivas. So yes, we are all conscious. We first theme we said the creator is conscious, but we are also conscious. Could we be the creators? No, because we are not independent. Swarat, neither are we omniscient, avigya. So it is Krishna alone who knows directly and indirectly. That is itaratas and anvaya. Directly and indirectly means completely. One who knows everything, he is the Param Satya. And he alone has no cause beyond himself. Or the concept of prime mover, you remember? So what we are discussing is that just being a cause doesn't make you God. You might be the cause of the universe, but the cause might be unconscious. Like scientists say, it is just coming from matter. Yeah. So we are saying Bhagavad philosophy's cause is conscious, is aware, is not blind. If you want to explore further discussions or debates, a group of scientists say that there's a famous book on the blind watchmaker. So they try to prove that there is no God, there is no creator. But Bhagavatam's God is not only the cause of creation, he's also conscious, intelligent, and independent. Why? Because you and me have independent intelligence, right? So wouldn't the source of intelligence shouldn't it be supremely intelligent? Yeah, it's only natural to feel that where we are coming from, how can that not be intelligent? How can that not be free? If there is order in this universe, how can order not come from God? So this is how we are trying to present Abhigya and Swarat. So Abhigya means fully conscious of all matters related to creation, maintenance, and destruction. Yeah. Because if you are the manufacturer, you have to be fully aware of the entire process. Swarat means one who can control everything independently through Krishna does it through his own spiritual nature. He doesn't need external instruments. Yeah, he doesn't need a material body or senses or anything material to act. Do you remember which verse we indicated in reference to this? Parasya Shaktir Vividhai Vashriyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya. So Krishna has Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Bala Shakti, which are coming from his Swarupa, his own nature. He doesn't need to go outside himself. For us to achieve something, we need to depend on so many things outside us. Even our intelligence is God given. But for God Himself, Jnana means knowledge, Kriya means action, and Bala means strength. Jnana, Kriya, and Bala, these Shaktis are within Him. They are part of His Swarupa. Therefore, He is called Swarat. He can accomplish anything by just wishing. Satya Sankalpa, Krishna ने इच्छा की और वो हो गया. He doesn't have to put effort. So this is the importance of Abhigya and Swarat, that Jiva and Prakriti is not independent. Jiva and Prakriti are both dependent on Parameshwara, Satyam Param. Only Bhagavan is independent. Yeah. Jiva also creates. You might put an argument, but I also, I created a skyscraper, I created an enterprise. You created, yes, but you created with supplied intelligence, supplied materials, supplied time, supplied opportunity. You know? So there's this nice story of a businessman coming and meeting Srila Prabhupada in his room in Juhu temple. And then a disciple of Srila Prabhupada introduces that businessman saying, Prabhupada, he's Mr. So and so, he's a great businessman. They manufacture glass. Can you imagine what Srila Prabhupada said? So, how much profit did you make? And he said, yeah, so and so amount. He said, yeah, then you should donate it to Krishna because you are using sand. From sand, you are manufacturing glass. So, did you create sand? You are using God's creation and you are making profit. So, the profits actually belong to Krishna, not to you. So, that businessman got scared. Swamiji, I'll see you later. I'll come back next week. So, we don't acknowledge that we are stealing or we are dependent on supplied things. Even our intelligence is supplied. We should remember that. Even the atheists who deny God, they deny God using the intelligence given by God. Now, one infirmity, one disease, and they will, people lose their intelligence. So, what are we talking about? We are so frail as jivas, and we are sitting here challenging God. So, Abhigya and Swarat means God, Lord creates independently. So first we saw he's the cause, but is that cause mechanical? Is that cause inert? No, that cause is conscious. You're adding more layer to your presentation. The cause is conscious and the cause is independent. Any questions on this part? You're able to follow? Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a chief engineer. There's so many things work going on under his direction. So the founder or chairman of a big conglomerate, they might have 100 factories all over the world. Is the founder present everywhere? But still everything is going on and that founder is aware of everything that's going on. So if an ordinary person can run 100 factories, why can't God create and maintain and destroy from his transcendental abode? Yeah, it is, very normal to think like that. So therefore, Vyasdev at once worships the Paratattva. Paratattva means absolute truth. So please, make a note of these Sanskrit terms next time because you are now studying deeply. You cannot use any word loosely. Where to use the word Ishvara, where to use the word Bhagwan, where to use the word Param Satyam. So there is a place, there is a context, and now you will be trained in what is the context of each word. So Satyam Param, Para Satya or Para Tattva, same thing. That is Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Parat Tattva, Srila Prabhupada in English, he translates into Samam Bonam, means the finale, the grand finale, or the ultimate supreme of everything. Unscrupulous persons immediately go to the 10th canto. So, the tendencies people don't systematically and sincerely study Bhagavatam. They think Bhagavatam means Krishna Lila. And Krishna Lila also what? Ras Lila. Just directly jumping to the 5 chapters of Ras Lila in the 10th canto, chapters 29 to 34. So that is a grave mistake. So directly jumping to Ras Leela, and they also hold these saptas and directly jump to these confidential, intimate topics of the loving affairs of Krishna and the gopis without understanding who is Krishna. So Bhagavatam presents through the first 9 cantos, as we discussed, unless one is thoroughly accomplished in transcendental knowledge of the Lord. What is this referring to? Sambandha Gyan. If you don't know, I'm introducing a new word, ontologically. Ontology means state. There are 3 states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas. So how do you start study of science? By studying different states. So once you know there are 3 states, you know oxygen is a gas, it is not a solid. So therefore, once you properly understand the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, the ontology, who is Jiva, who is Ishvara, what is Prakriti? So that is called Sambandha Gyan. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in Sambandha Gyan, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable, transcendental pastimes called Rasa dance and his loving affair with the gopis. So these pastimes are actually worshipable. They are transcendental, which means they are not material. They are of a different spiritual nature. That subject matter is highly spiritual and only liberated persons, means your heart is cleansed of all impurities, of all ego. Those who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa is a advanced stage of spiritual uh, you know, path. Only they can transcendentally relish the rasa dance. So Srila Vyasdev is giving the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastime. So first comes realization, then comes relish. So the first 9 cantos systematically will help us understand who is Sri Krishna, what is this Paratattva. When you actually understand is, oh, now I understand why Krishna's dance with the gopis is divine, it's sweet. Without that understanding, if we directly jump into that topic, we'll use our mundane understanding and mentality to see that. And then it will be a great misunderstanding and a big offense. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is essentially the summary of the Gayatri Mantra. Therefore, this verse ends with Dhimahi. Satyam Param Dhimahi. That presence of the word Dhimahi indicates Gayatri Mantra. So Vyasdev is purposely invoking a Gayatri mantra. And Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people who have reached the Sattva Gun. Yeah. And when they chant the Gayatri mantra successfully, they can attain to the transcendental stage of God realization. You can actually come in touch with Krishna. Now we are talking about Krishna, but to come in touch with Krishna, we have to reach a state of pure consciousness. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord. What is the nature of the Lord? Everyone is using the word God so cheaply. But what is actually the nature of God? That we will understand by the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is God's internal potency and external potency. This Vyasdev herein Vasudev says herein that the manifested internal potency is real. So we'll come to that.
Hare
So
Krishna.
after yes, Madhu,
Prabhu, this Anyavad Itaratas, what does that
we'll come to
mean?
that. Yeah, we're
Okay.
coming to that. We've only taken Janmadya Seyataha, and we have
Abhigna
taken Abhigya and Swara.
Swarat. Okay.
Right. Okay, so next we come to the point of what is the process of receiving this knowledge. So not only is this verse indicating what is the absolute truth, this verse is also presenting the process to understand that. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Let's break it down. Adi Kavi is referring to Brahmaji. He's the first living being. Yeah, he also helps God. He helps Krishna in creation. Therefore, he's called as the secondary creator. So Adi Kavi is Brahmaji. Brahma, who transmitted spiritual knowledge to Adi Kavi, Tene, that same Satyam Param, that Vasudev. And how we don't see Brahmaji taking tuitions on top of the lotus. It was revealed to him in his heart. Hridda, Hrida. So Hrida is very important. It is indicating that when we are seeking knowledge of spiritual subject matters, that cannot be gained by intelligence. By intelligence, you can gain the knowledge of physical things. But if you want to understand metaphysical things like justice, love, God, morality, metaphysical subjects cannot be understood using intelligence. Especially understanding God is not an intellectual pursuit, it is revealed. So, this is giving us the method to gain that knowledge. So, while we are studying, we should know that we are only trying to understand, but actually, unless it is revealed by God Himself, we will never understand. Okay. Even Brahmaji is not independent, what to speak of us. So, Brahmaji has to receive knowledge, transcendental knowledge from the Lord. And therefore, because Brahmaji is also dependent, Vyasadeva is not worshipping Brahmaji as Satyampara. He is worshipping Vasudeva as the Lord who is empowering Brahma. Okay. So we cannot realize the truth independently. The revelation is not, it is not self. It is not you cannot be achieved. You cannot achieve it by mental speculation. Only by divine revelation. So very beautifully, Vyasadeva also indicates that this is the nature of ultimate reality. But to understand this, you need grace. You need blessings. What to speak of you? Even great sages are bewildered. Muyanti yat surayaha. Suris are advanced souls, sages, celestial beings, devatas. Even they are muyanti. They are also put into bewilderment. So never think that the absolute truth can be mastered by intellectual effort alone. Yeah. So what is the way to understand the absolute truth. There is value to reason. We are not saying that intelligence का कोई role नहीं है, because Srila Prabhupada himself is saying that human beings are naturally inclined to inquire about the cause of creation. So where can our intelligence rightly be used, legitimately be used? When we question the origins of creation, when we try to find the cause, when we try to distinguish between what's dependent and what's independent. Yeah, to understand all this, are we not using our intelligence? We are. That's what I've been talking about for the last whatever time. Also understanding that matter is limited. Matter cannot be the ultimate cause. So to understand these things, we require intelligence. So yes, intelligence and reason is accepted, but it is limited. उसका रोल है, but उसका रोल limited है. Shastra is necessary. So absolute can be known only through authoritative revelation. Because our mind is finite. How can our finite mind understand the infinite? Impossible. So there is a place for reasoning and intelligence, but it's limited. Ultimately, we need Shastra because we are finite and absolute truth is infinite. Therefore, it's a path of grace. So what is we are studying is not information, it is actually illumination. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. So what we are trying to do here is first step, using our reason to understand, oh yes, Krishna is the cause. He's conscious. He is independent. He is the material and efficient cause. Good. But intelligence alone cannot help us understand it completely. We require grace. So reason should be supported by Shastra. And Shastra can only be realized through mercy of sadhus. So ultimately it comes down to Mahat Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimukte. Have you served and gained the mercy of saints and sages or guru? If that is there, then even without this study, it will be revealed in your heart. So ultimately, while we put in effort, because we have intelligence and we want to use it rightly, we want to purify it, we want to live in the world with clarity and confidence. So we are doing what we are doing, but ultimately we should know the mercy will come from sadhus. Any questions on this part, on the process of receiving transcendental knowledge? Okay, we see how each block is building up. Do you think it's complicated? No, it's simple. Next, we come to what Mataji asked. Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimaya. Let's first look at the synonyms. Teja is fire, vari is water, mridam is earth, yatha as much as vinimaya, action and reaction, yatra, whereupon. Three sarga, the three modes of creation. So when the three modes of creation act, this world is Prakriti is Gunamai. When I use the word Prakriti, you can in your mind equate it to the three gunas. Three gunas, Prakriti, same thing. Three gunas, Prakriti, Maya, same thing. So when we are in this world of Prakriti, the world of gunas, the gunas influence us. We cannot see clearly. Amrisha, we are bewildered. Our understanding is clouded. So what is unreal appears to be real. How? Just like sometimes in a desert, you might see a mirage. There is no water, but your mind is tricking you. There is water. And similarly, if you're traveling on a road and it's a very hot sunny day, you will see that you feel there is water, but there is no water. So just like sometimes you see how it is written here, sometimes you are bewildered by illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Why does this happen? Because the gunas are influencing us. The world is appearing independent, although it is not independent. The world is appearing of value, while it is not of any real value. Yeah, the world is appearing substantial. Our desires our chase of material goods and status is appearing tangible and valuable, but it is not valid. So that is the Amrisha. So here Srila Prabhupada explains that, we were discussing this. In the desert, Miraj, there is no actual water. Here in the manifested internal potency is real. So Bhagwan has two potencies, internal and external. The internal potency is called Swarupa Shakti or Antaranga Shakti. That Swarupa Shakti is real. And what is the product of that Swarup Shakti? The spiritual world. Bhakti, the form of the Lord. These are all manifestations or representations of the internal energy of the Lord, and they are all real. Then there is the external energy of the Lord. And what is the manifestation of that external energy? Our cosmic world, our body, our senses. So that has no real value. The external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like a mirage in the desert. Are you able to find that in the purport? So everything that is a product of Krishna's external energy is only illusory, amrisha. Almost factual. It is also not saying that it is completely unreal, but it is not. It appears as almost factual. What is the real situation? That Prakriti depends on Bhagwan. This is to say, one truth depends on something else. The cosmic creation results from interaction of the three modes of nature, and the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality. So, what you're seeing in this world is a projection, there is no reality. It's an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul. But if we correct our mentality, then we'll be able to see the reality. And for that, we need to study Shastra. So the point is, cosmic world appears through Krishna's external energy, and Krishna's own personal Swarupa, Krishna's personal Dham, is manifested by his internal potency. So please listen carefully. This material manifestation, the cosmos, the universe which we are a part of, it is like a mirage. It appears real, but its reality depends upon a deeper reality. The point is that it is not independent. Yeah. In this, our material universe, everything is dependent and relative. It is dependent on something else. Only the spiritual world is independent and absolute. So now you see where the words absolute come from. Absolute truth. Because everything in this world is relative. It changes. But anything that is a product of Krishna's internal energy, that is unchanging, that is real. Therefore, we use the word absolute. And for things of this world, we use the word relative. So now when Prabhupada calls Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, each word you will have a meaning for. Why supreme? Why personality? And what is the meaning of Godhead? So that is the purpose of Shastric study. So spiritual world is absolute and independent, whereas our material universe is relative and dependent. And in that spiritual world, Dhamna Svena. So along with transcendental paraphernalia, what does it mean? It means Krishna's abode, Krishna's associates, those who are his transcendental companions, they all are part of that spiritual abode. Dhamna Svena, and that Dhamma of the Lord is Svena, self-sufficient. Sada Nirasta Kuhakam, Satyam Param Dhimahi. So when we say that this world is not real, we didn't say unreal, please mind that. We are saying it appears almost factual. If we say that world is unreal, then we would come under the category of Mayavadis, that we are denying this world. Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. But we are not calling this world as Mithya. Yeah, we are saying it is Krishna Shakti. Yeah, we are saying that this world is Krishna Shakti. So how can it be unreal? Just 1 second. Sorry. So I was saying, let us put all of these things together. First, this cosmic creation is a temporary manifestation, and it is so created as to present an illusion of reality. So, where is reality? Only in the spiritual world. What is this material world? It is an illusion of reality. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, the example of a banyan tree is used. Just like on the bank of a river, there is a banyan tree. You see the reflection of that banyan tree. So our world is a reflection of the real world. Our world does not have any real substance. It is a reflection. So first is what we have to hold is this cosmic creation is an illusion of reality. Okay. Second, in the synonym, Amrisha means almost factual. So we are also not saying that it is unreal. So you see how delicately we are balancing. It is almost factual. It is also an illusion of reality. So we are not denying the world. We are saying it is unreal when you perceive it as independent, permanent, or ultimate. If you think that this world is independent, then it is an illusion. If you think that this world is permanent, it is an illusion. If you think this world is ultimate, that is an illusion. So now you understand what part of this cosmic creation is illusion. The error is in perception. Yeah. We are misreading the world. Those qualities that we are ascribing to this cosmic creation are actually belonging to Krishna's realm. So Maya or the gunas make us misinterpret what is dependent we think as independent. That's all. So this is the meaning of Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimaya. Is it clear? Any questions? So another extension of this concept is yes, this world is not self sufficient or independent or permanent or ultimate. That also applies to the form of the Lord. So to think of Lord's spiritual form as made up of the gunas, that is also an illusion. So only the ignorant mistake Krishna's form for a material form. Krishna's form is not Prakriti, like we said. First, we have to understand Parat Tattva. State kya hai? Once we understand the state, that oh, Prakriti is a different state and Ishvara is an entirely different state. Ishvara is Satchidanand. How can gunas touch Satchidanand? So the idea is because of the gunas, because of Maya, we misinterpret creation. We misunderstand God. Okay. We take the eternal to be temporary and we take the temporary to be eternal. Are you with me? Have I lost you? Okay. Let's continue. So here Srila Prabhupada says this example of Abhigya using the example of a chief engineer. All material elements are all just sparks coming from Krishna. He's cognizant, fully independent, and this beautiful example of a mine. There is a gold mine, and there are gold ornaments. Now let us understand this is the next concept. Lord is compared to a mine of gold, and creations, our world, our universe, our bodies, they are all considered as ornaments made from the gold. So are the ornaments and the gold mine same? Yes, qualitatively they are both gold, but quantitatively they are different. The gold mine contains gold in totality, whereas the ornaments contain gold to some quantity, some grams. But the gold mine is the source of all of these ornaments. So what is being introduced is this beautiful concept given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of Achintya Bheda Bhed. So the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different from everything, from his creation, from us. We are one in quality with God, but we are different in quantity with God. This beautiful example of gold mine and gold ornaments, or the example of fire and a spark of fire, or the example of an entire sea and a drop of seawater. Even the drop will be salty. So in quality, this drop of seawater and the sea is same, but in quantity they are different. So what do we conclude from this? That nothing is absolutely equal to Param Satya because Param Satya is supreme. So nothing can come close to absolute truth. Yet nothing is also independent of it. This is Achintya Veda. Nothing is equal to him, but also nothing is independent of him. Everything is related to him through his energies. It's called Shakti Parinamva, but that's for a later discussion. Don't worry. So the world is neither, we don't say the world is only God. That is pantheism. That is what the scientists say. Universe is only God. There is nothing beyond this universe. Neither is God identical with universe, nor is God completely separate from this universe. And same for Jiva. Jiva is neither God nor unrelated to God. We can never become God, but we can never also not be related to God. We have only forgotten our relationship with Him. And to re-establish that relationship is called yoga. So the creation, Prakriti, the Jiva, and Lord's energies, Shaktis, they are all dependent, all related to Param Satya. So here we also see uh, Srila Prabhupada talks of a materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator other than his own self. And this is called Maya. So there are three participants, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti. When you are an atheist, in your reality, there is no Ishvara. So then what remains? Only Jiva and Prakriti. So naturally, because Jiva is conscious and Prakriti is unconscious, you think I can exploit Prakriti. That is Bhog. So forgetting Ishvara, we are all enjoying, trying to exploit Prakriti, and we are creating karma. But the day we realize, oh, I'm not the controller creator, there is an Ishvara who I should surrender to, worship to, and in whose service I should utilize Prakriti. That is success. That is Seva Bhav. From Bhog, you come to Seva. That is the whole journey of spiritual life. So, absolute truth is the source of everything. Please mark this line. Nothing can be independent of the body of the Lord. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to through the embodied. If in your little toe of your feet there is a small thorn which pricks, immediately you are aware. So the point is, nothing is independent. So this creation might seem far from the creator, but anything that happens to the creation, in the creation, the absolute truth is fully and immediately aware. That is what we are trying to say, that nothing is unrelated. Nothing is completely separate from God. Okay. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium and the reservoir to which everything ultimately returns is the absolute truth. So the source and the sink is the absolute truth, Brahman. So what we are trying to present is we have to distinguish between Lord's internal energy, let's call it Swarupa Shakti, and Lord's external energy, Maya Shakti. So the universe is not different from the Lord as his energy. But please remember, it is different from the internal energy of the Lord. Yeah. So this is how we have to balance the concept. Universe is Krishna's Shakti, but which Shakti? External energy. Maya Shakti, not Swarupa Shakti, internal energy. Okay. There is a significance to this because we have to understand that Krishna is the creator and is also present in his creation. Krishna is immanent, which means he's present in his creation, deeply related, connected to his creation, but he's also transcendent, apart from his creation or exceeds his creation. His creation cannot define him or confine him. वो प्रकृति के परे हैं, पर प्रकृति से जुड़े हैं. So therefore, we have to understand that this material universe is a part of Krishna's Maya Shakti. It is not different from the Lord as his Maya Shakti, not as his Swarupa Shakti. Okay, so what did we learn? That Lord is the source, the world is his energy. We, the Jiva, are also dependent. We are also Krishna Shakti, but dependent. Lord's internal potency reveals his Swarupa and reveals his spiritual abode. And what does Lord's external potency produce? Temporary appearance. This is what we are concluding. Everything that is a manifestation of Lord's internal energy is real, and everything that is a manifestation of Krishna's external energy is only temporary. It is amrisha, almost factual. It is not independent, it is not ultimate. So, therefore, what do we have to do? If we are dependent, if Prakriti is dependent, what is our duty? To reconnect with the Lord through the internal energy. So now we are under Krishna's external energy, Maya Shakti. We have to switch and take shelter or Sharanagati of Krishna's internal energy, Swarupa Shakti. And that is where Vyasdev is leading us into saying, Dhimahi, we meditate upon you. I want to meditate and surrender to your internal potency. I don't want to be bewildered in your Maya Shakti. Yeah, what is temporary is appearing as factual. Please help me come out of this bewilderment. I am hereby meditating upon you. Is that okay? Any questions so far? So Prabhupada says, yeah, this point is also presented. The last part here is Satyam Param Dhimahi, that what started as Jigyasa concluded in Dhimahi in meditation. So Vyasdev is saying, I meditate, and it can also be understood to mean let us meditate. He's also leading all of us jivas. Yeah, that. And what did we understand? That meditation is the result of inquiry, जिज्ञासा. वेदांत सूत्र जिज्ञासा से प्रारंभ होते हैं और श्रीमद् भागवतम के धीमहि में समाप्त होते हैं. So the conclusion of inquiry is that you meditate on the supreme absolute truth, who is the cause of all causes. So that is the completion of the inquiry. Net of the inquiry is inquire who, what is this Brahman? Yeah, when you complete that journey, you come to the conclusion, yes, let us meditate upon Vasudeva. So when you are chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, you have reached the completion of inquiry. अतः तो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा आपका कंप्लीट होके आप अब ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेव पे पहुंच चुके हैं. So yeah, it is at understanding level. We have to also take it to realization level. So Bhagavatam philosophy is not about just theory. It is about meditation. In our chanting, in our seva, we should meditate upon what we are studying. Yeah. Heart is involved in meditation. You can become a philosopher by using your intelligence. You can know everything. But are you meditating on that Satyam Param? Or was that just a publishing paper, just a paper for you to publish? For you, Satyam Param is an object of your meditation. Your heart is involved. So therefore, this is Satyam Param Dhimni, Gayatri Mantra like meditation. And Srimad Bhagavatam's sweetness is in the 10th canto, but that is protected. We first have to systematically understand the first 9 cantos before we reach the final 10th canto. So you see how much is presented in this one verse. It has different states, then it has causality, then it has the source of knowledge, revelation, not intelligence, and it also tells about Maya. So basically, this verse has presented the essence of entire Srimad Bhagavatam, entire Vedanta's essence has been presented in this one verse. And who is that supreme Satya, absolute truth? Krishna. So there are some additional explanations where Krishna is presented as Satya because Satya is established in Krishna. Where does truth come from? Truth comes from Krishna. And Krishna is the ultimate truth. And then that same truth, which is Swarat, what does it become? It becomes dependent. Why would the independent become dependent? The Mayavadis will say that Brahman has become conditioned. If Brahman could be conditioned, how can it be Brahman in the first place? That means Maya is more powerful than Brahman. Then the whole theory collapses. We say that that independent becomes dependent out of bhakti. So that supreme independent Krishna can be freely controlled by our love, by the love of his devotees. And that is rasa. That's our presentation of our acharyas. That factually, by tattva, Krishna is swarat. But bhakti is so powerful that it controls even Krishna. So that becomes a paradox. That one swarat chooses to become dependent. But that is voluntary, that is lila. So there is tattva, what we have discussed so far, and then there is lila. According to tattva, Krishna is independent. But through the lens of lila, Krishna voluntarily gives himself to his devotee. So we have to learn to see things in the right category. Some things we should discuss in the category of tattva, and some things we should discuss in the category of rasa or lila. So ultimately, the idea of Param Satya is that Param Satya is a person. Param Satya cannot be formless. So that is the last part of this purport. Let's put our minds to understand this. So Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with Lord are neither Abhigya nor Surat. You are a different state. You are liquid. And for example, God is a gas. Or you cannot change states. You are by state, you are Jiva. And by state, Param Satya is Ishvara. So, if you falsely flatter yourself, just by meditation, when I become pure, I will also become God. You can never become Abhikya. You can never become Swarat. So, Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with Lord, but ultimately they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples. So basically, the point Prabhupada is saying, Jiva cannot become Swarat. You might claim that I have become Brahman, I have become Krishna. If you are Krishna, why are you dependent on others? Why do you have to respond to your natural urges? You should be completely independent. So it is just self, it is, fantasy that Mayavadis have created, that they can call themselves God. In fact, the purpose of spirituality is to purify ourselves of our ego. Because ego is what is binding us to this world, aham and maman. So Mayavad is like going into spirituality to remove your ego, but instead, if you follow the path of Mayavad, you come out with a super ego. Not only I and mine, but I am God. It cannot be more crazier than that. Such atheists will be dealt. So Prabhupada says Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, they all thought they are God. When we have certain control over resources, Hiranyakashipu had full control over all elements. He could make it rain when he wishes, or he could change the order of the universe. Those who did pap could go to Swarga, and those who did punya would go to Nark. So he controlled space, but he could not control time. And that is the only one benediction he asked from Brahmaji. And mujhe amar bana do, make me immortal. So that means he was dependent because you don't have control over time. As powerful a person you might be in this world, you are still not going to be immortal. So in that sense, all of us are dependent, helplessly dependent. So better to be humble and accept that reality rather to falsely think we are gods. So Prabhupada is saying Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, they all thought they are gods, but they could never achieve immortality because that is not the nature of Jiva. So whenever men neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. So they will meet their fate. They will be humbled by the laws of nature and by time. Yada yada hi dharmasya. And then Srila Prabhupada says, we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. Krishna is impregnating the vast material creation with seeds of spiritual spark. So essentially, who are we? We are the Atman. Where did we come from? Krishna impregnated the soul, the spiritual sparks into this creation, and that's how we are here. So an atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker. This is a very old argument, therefore Prabhupada is also referring to it. God is greater because he can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. So Prabhupada is saying a watchmaker can only make a watch, but can a watch reproduce itself into another watch and 100 other watches? No. But humans are different. We are created in such a way that humans can reproduce and create other human beings. Did that power of creation, are you even conscious of it? It's there in humans because it is God given. So that is how brilliant God is. No one can create as well as God. God has created machines which are duplicating themselves perpetually. Nobody else can create such machines. God is asamurdhvam. Sama urdhvam means nobody is sama, equal, or urdhva, greater than God. That than which nothing else can exceed is God or Param Satyam. So, what is the conclusion? Unless one surrenders to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that he will be bewildered. So, we cannot independently become abhigya or all knowing. We are dependent, and it's best to accept that and surrender to the all knowing. And by the grace of the all knowing, we will also gain freedom, become a Mahatma. The last point Srila Prabhupada makes is very strong. Let us spend a few minutes understanding this. That there are two schools of spiritualists. One are personalist, who believe in a personal form of God, and other are impersonalist, who do not believe in a form of a God. They feel God is formless. Now, Vyasdev doesn't present a formless God. Vyasdev's God has a form, and that form is of Krishna. So let us see what problem can be created if we accept a formless God. So, if we cannot demonstrate that everything in this world has originated or has its source in the spiritual world, then that will be a problem, right? So everything that is here is a reflection of the spiritual realm. That is what we saw also the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Urdu Moolam Adashatam, that this world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Now, what about love? What about relationships? If God is impersonal, let's for a few seconds put ourselves into the category of impersonalist. God has no form, God has no personality. God is just light or energy or knowledge. So if God is impersonal, how do you explain the presence of love in this world? Do you understand? Relationships and love cannot be explained by a formless God. There will be no divine origin of love and relationships. So what is that concept? In Bhagavad understanding, it is called Adi Ras, pure Adi Ras, which becomes contaminated in this world as lust. So originally, love exists in the spiritual world. Love exists in Krishna in the form of pure Adi Ras. But if the Krishna was impersonal, how could we say that Krishna contains the original pure form of Adi Ras? So we ascribe the origin of love in this world to Adi Ras, which is present only in a personal God. Okay, only a personal God can have feelings, only a personal God can have relationships and reciprocation. Formless Brahman cannot have relations and reciprocation, so you cannot explain love having its origin in divinity. So, what is our understanding? That originally, as spiritual rasa, love exists in the spiritual world as Adi Ras. Material love, or in fact, material sexuality, is a distorted reflection of that spiritual rasa. To understand material lust as a perverted reflection of spiritual rasa requires a personal God. If you don't acknowledge a personal God, you are not able to give a spiritual source to love, which means you are indirectly encouraging lust. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully about this. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalistic philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the absolute truth. So, if God is impersonal, there is no spiritual emotion, there is no spiritual love. What is the purpose of this world? Pleasure. There is no morality. There is no higher meaning to love and relationships. So, I enjoy as much as I can. So, it is an indirect impetus to mundane sex life. Consequently, man, without information of the actual spiritual form of sex, has accepted perverted material sex life as all in all because we don't have a spiritual original counterpart. So, where do we find its basis? Material reality, what we have is all in all. So, this is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and the spiritual sex life. So there is so much to understand before we jump to Krishna Leela. So Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities and reach transcendence. So very beautifully Srila Prabhupada is establishing this idea of Adiras. So, our whole presentation of Krishna as Rasa, Vaisa, is based on Rasa, and we say that Krishna is the reservoir of all Rasa. The Lord's form is not made up of gunas. It is from his internal energy. So all these false arguments which atheists, impersonalists, materialists create, they are defeated by Dhamna Swena. Swain means Krishna's own. Dhamna means extraordinary spiritual potency. Light, darkness is automatically dispelled. So when you come in touch with Krishna's internal energy, all these misconceptions will be eradicated. Embodied, conditional human beings, our understanding is dim. Our consciousness is not fully transparent and bright. It is conditional. So Maya is covering our understanding. It is clouding. Like you cannot see an object clearly if there is dirt on glass. So first we have to clean that. And rasa, so acharyas also explained, Satyam Param, what is Janmadi indicating? Yes, it is indicating creation, maintenance, and destruction, but some acharyas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Janmadi is referred to as Madhurya Ras, Shringar Ras, the highest rasa possible in this world, not in our world, in the entire creation. So Krishna is the object of that rasa, and the devotee is the sub. So Krishna is the Vishay of that supreme rasa, and we are all expressing our rasa for Krishna. So another reading of Janmadi Asya is Madhurya Ras. That Krishna is the source of rasa. So this gives it a aesthetic interpretation. And God is not just a official creator. He's also the original lover. He's also the fulfillment of consciousness. Yeah. So far we saw ultimate truth as intelligent, but now we are seeing that intelligence also has emotion. It has a relation. So, but rasa is different from our material lust. Okay, so it should not be, misunderstood. Material bodies decay, rasa doesn't decay. So true rasa can only be expressed towards an eternal object, not towards a deteriorating object. Yeah. The object should be eternal, the subject should be eternal, and the medium of love should be eternal. So these are the only three things in this world which are eternal. The eternal object, which is Krishna, the eternal subject, which is the Bhakta, and the eternal medium of love, which is Bhakti. So Bhagwan, Bhakta, and Bhakti. Only these three are eternal, and they can experience true rasa. So this is another explanation of Satyam Param Dhimahi is, who do we meditate upon? Ultimate form of divinity is not even Krishna alone, not Vasudev Krishna. Vasudev Krishna you will not find in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan you will find Radha Krishna. So let me meditate upon the highest form of divinity as Radha Krishna. So the cause of all causes is also the beloved of Srimati Radharani. That is the understanding of Satyam Param Dhimahi. So therefore, Bhagavatam is not just philosophy. It takes us to the highest experience of rasa. So another explanation of this is that the subject matter of this verse is Bhakti Yoga. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that Bhakti is the process. Yeah. If you want to achieve love of Krishna, Krishna is the ashray, means the one to be attained. And what is the process to attain Krishna or love for Krishna? It is bhakti. So bhakti is the process, but bhakti is also the goal. Bhakti is the abhideya and bhakti is also the prayojan. So bhakti is not just a method to reach a goal. Bhakti matures into the goal itself. The prayojan, the abhideya becomes the prayojan. So bhakti is transcendental. Other paths may require use of jnana, but you have to give up jnana at the time of liberation. But only one thing can continue after liberation, and that is bhakti. So bhakti is both the means and the end. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that bhakti is the subject of this verse. That bhakti is both the path and the perfection. It is now what we are doing is sadhana bhakti, and that same sadhana bhakti will blossom into bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. Yeah, bhakti is pure, bhakti is transcendental, but the performer of bhakti can be in one of the gunas. Yeah, conditioning is possible to the performer of the bhaktis. Bhakti is never touched by the gunas. Why? Because you remember, where does bhakti come from? It comes from the internal potency of Krishna. And everything that is in the internal potency of Krishna is absolute and eternal. So bhakti is independent, like Krishna. Bhakti is Swaraj. It does not depend on whether you do tapasya or you have jnana or you are vairagi. None of those can lead to bhakti. Bhakti is independent. Where does it come from then? Grace. Because bhakti is present in the heart of another bhakta. When a bhakta has mercy upon you, they can give their bhakti to you. That is the only way to attain bhakti. Even Krishna cannot give you bhakti. You know why? Because that would be considered as interfering with the jiva's free will. I don't want bhakti. Why are you giving me bhakti, Krishna? But therefore, he tells his devotee, I don't want to interfere in this jiva's free will. You can do it because that will not be considered a fault. You can inspire them by your presence, by your purity. So therefore, devotees become the source of our bhakti, and we should always be grateful for that. So we must surrender to the Supreme Lord if you want to be free from bewilderment. Huh? Nirasta kuhakam. If you want to be free of bewilderment, you have to surrender. And somebody who surrenders, who first understands how Krishna is the absolute truth, and then surrenders, they are called Mahatma. And if you don't surrender with what rank or status in this world, you will still be under illusion. So, what is this verse saying? Satyam Param Dhimahi. One interpretation is meditate through bhakti. We are not talking of idle meditation, that meditating on nothing. No, meditating on Radha Krishna through the path of bhakti. Because bhakti is the true element which corresponds to both the nature of Bhakt and the nature of Bhagwan. They are tied through the element of bhakti. That is the only common thing in both the meditator and the meditated bhakti. So we have to meditate through bhakti. Satyam Param Dhimai. Can you put word commentaries these acharyas present? Without their teachings, we would be so lost. And these acharyas are, like pure devotees. They have attained their swarupa. They are high states. They go into deep meditation and there they receive a revelation. And then they write these revelations for us as commentaries. So therefore, this is how it can also be understood, and meditate through bhakti upon Radha and Krishna. And finally, Srimad Bhagavatam is not an ordinary literature, but it is Krishna himself. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls it Amala Purana, as we saw. So Bhagavatam is when Krishna went back to his abode at the onset of Kali Yuga. Sri Krishna has come in the form of Bhagavatam to help us dispel the darkness of this world. So Another last part of this discussion is that through various subject matters, we have to come to the topics of Krishna Lila. So there are going to be various topics we are going to discuss in different cantos. Yeah, there will be Sarga, creation, Nirodha. So that, Srimad Bhagavatam has topics of Sarga, creation, and Nirodha. So that is compared to Srimad Bhagavatam is like a lamp, because a lamp reveals only a little. Using a lamp, you can see a general aspect of something. Okay. So through Sarga, through creation, through Nirodha, you can only understand the spiritual nature of Lord, general aspect of Lord, Adhyatma. Then there are topics like Visarga, secondary creation, which Brahmaji does. Then topics like Sthana, maintenance. How is the whole universe maintained? The topics of Poshana, how does Krishna protect his devotees? And Uti, what is the impetus for acting in this world? Manvantar, what are the different eras? Ishanukatha, the Leelas of Krishna and his avatars. And Mukti, liberation. So these topics are like sun, because they reveal specifics of the nature of the Lord. Some topics like Sarga and Nirod are like lamp. They reveal a general aspect of the Lord. But these other topics are like the sun. They reveal the specific nature of the Lord. So through all these topics, we will try to understand Sri Krishna as the absolute truth. And Ashraya, the topic of the Dashamskan, 10th canto, it has only Krishna Lila. How does that Abhigya Swarat Satyam Param interact with his devotees? He completely changes for them. He doesn't follow the ordinary rules. So that in that context, Bhagavatam is like a tasty fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. So in this way, the same Bhagavatam through different facets is like a lamp, is like a sun, and is like a very sweet fruit of the Vedic tree. So the same Bhagavatam will give joy to the devotees, because everything in Bhagavatam can take a favorable meaning for bhakti. But the same topics can also take a different meaning for bewildering the atheistic people and give interpretations which are unfavorable for bhakti. That is only to bewilder the non-devotees. So in that aspect, Bhagavatam is also like Mohini. To the devotees, they'll experience relish. For the non-devotees, they'll get even more bewildered. So that is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. It takes meanings corresponding to the different mentalities of people, according to our adhikar, according to our mentality. So there is revelation. So the same Lord is revealed through the Bhagavatam differently to different people. And there is a verse in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam which speaks to this. When Shri Krishna, who was invited from Mathura, from Vrindavan to Mathura to fight with Kamsa, as he entered that wrestling arena, there were different categories of people present there. And for each category of people, he was someone different. Yeah, that is a beautiful verse which starts with Mallanam Ashinesh, 10.43.70. You can find it and read it later. To the wrestlers, he appeared like a lightning bolt, Ashner. To the people of Mathura, he appeared as the best, Naravara, the best amongst humans. To the cowherd men, Krishna appeared as a relative. To the impious rulers, Krishna appeared as punishment. And to the parents of Krishna, he appeared as a child. And to Kamsa, he appeared as death personified. And the last part is Virada Avidusham. To the intelligent, he appeared as a material form, Virat Purusha. And to the yogis, he appeared as the absolute truth. So they are, same Krishna, but he's radiated or reflected differently depending on the mentality and category of different people. So, and this is perfect. Spiritual reality is one. It is not that reality has become divided. Spiritual reality is one, but its reception varies according to consciousness of the receiver. So I'll stop here. Any questions, comments, or thoughts? Okay, it's been a quite exhaustive presentation. Please read the purport, and if you require hear this again, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Hare Krishna.